Hello, welcome back to Life in Flowers. In this video, I'm going to share with you some of my favorite foods just to prepare up and have ahead of time that are healthy and low calorie. And having foods prepared ahead of time really helps me manage my weight. So I thought this would be a good video to share with you. I also made a video on calorie counting, which I will link below. I like to food prep. I used to do this all the time when I was working, and it really helped, and it's much more efficient because I can just make my big mess and get things prepped, and then it's much easier to make foods and enjoy foods that are healthy and tasty and good for you. What I have is I have my cutting boards, I have my knife, and this little setup here this is just a bag, a paper grocery bag that's been cut open, or you could use newspaper. I just want to be able to push all my vegetable spoils into it, and then I can take those out to the compost later. So first, I'm going to cut some white onion. This is going to be for my turkey pasta alternative meal, I will call it. And everything that I'm doing today is fast, easy, and it's no frills. This is not your gourmet meal here. This is just something that's going to be tasty, but good for you. I'm going to cut this using a method I saw on a Jacques Pepin show many years ago in the 80s. Sorry if this knife is pointing toward the camera. Oh, maybe that's not good. Okay, and what you do is you leave the root end on, and you just kind of slice this way. Of course, be careful with your knives. I'm assuming all of you already know that. And I will too. By the way, I already washed my hands. And then you go the opposite way. So you're making kind of a grid. I'm only going halfway through because I'm going to use the rest of this onion for something else. Oops, got a little more skin here. And then once you've done that, you just slice down and you have chopped onion ready to go. I'm going to bring that over to my pan. Right, I am going to add a little olive oil to this pan because this is turkey and it's very low fat that I'm going to put in this pan. So you do need a little bit of oil. And I'm just going to get those onions cooking. Another thing I'm going to get started are some boneless, skinless chicken breasts. And put a little more oil in the pan for the same reason. There is virtually no fat in a chicken breast. And I am going to cut these. As I mentioned, this is going to be no frills. So literally be careful, but I just hold the thick end. I take a sharp knife and I go right down the middle of that chicken breast. I like to cook them. I think they cook a little bit better when they're thinner. All right, I am going to let this onion brown a little bit, and then I'm going to add some ground turkey and let that brown. While those are starting to cook, I'm going to get some vegetables ready to roast. I've got here some delicado squash. These are really, really good. Going to cut the ends off. And I am going to take some of the skin off. You don't have to take any of the skin off, but I like to. This is a great little peeler, by the way. It's from OXO. I'll see if I can find a link for it. I'm going to cut these in half. I am going to scrape the seeds out. You could probably toast these little seeds. I think I've done that before. And then I'm just going to cut them in, what is this? Maybe 1/3 of an inch slices. This is kind of a lot. Probably 2 would have been plenty, but I'm going to keep going. Or what I could have done was just put these in the refrigerator, prep to this stage, or even prep to this stage. In fact, I might do that. All right, I'm going to go over and check my onions. All right, now I do have other vegetables to roast, so I don't think I quite need all this squash, so I'm going to put part of it on a baking sheet, just that's been lined with foil. I also like to use parchment. I'm going to put about half of them on there, and the other half I will put in a Ziploc bag for later. Sometimes I notice that if I cook everything all at once, it just becomes unappetizing a few days later. So sometimes I will just get things prepped to the cooking stage like this. Got a cauliflower that's gonna get roasted too. I'm gonna do the same thing. And I'm going to cut these into bite-sized pieces. Like, I think that's too big. I like to have them, you know, in an ideal world, they would all be perfect little florets, but they often are just a little too big, so I cut them. And again, I'm going to save part of this cauliflower for later, and I will just put it in this Ziploc bag. And add this cauliflower to my tray. You don't want to load your tray too much when you're roasting vegetables. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of olive oil on there, not too much. And you could season these all kind of ways. I am just going to do some salt, some pepper, some garlic powder, and some onion powder. I'm going to give them another toss, and I'm going to put them in a preheated oven at 425. Alrighty, I'm also going to get some sweet potatoes ready. I think I'll cut them again in about 1/3 inch. And again, these I'm not going to roast. I already have a lot of vegetables that I'm going to roast. And what I'll do is when those are done, I'll roast these and it will be kind of fresh and new. Or I might even bake these with some apple, just for something a little sweet. So I'm just putting these in a Ziploc bag and they'll stay like this for quite a while. So my chicken is going to be great for salads or for another meal. It's cooked and ready to go. Another thing that I do sometimes is just cut it, maybe put it in some marinade, get it ready in the fridge. That way I can just pull it out and cook it fresh for dinner. And one thing I love to do, rather than buy bagged salad, but you can certainly buy bagged salad, is I like to get my lettuce ready for the salad. And this is romaine. This is kind of a compromise. I like spring mix. My husband likes iceberg, and we use romaine as kind of the compromise. And what you do is you take your lettuce, you wash it, let it drain mostly, but when it still has a little bit of water on it, get a Ziploc bag and put a paper towel in the bottom of it, lay a few of the leaves down. You can do like 2 layers about of leaves, and then add another paper towel if you have more, put a few more leaves down, close it up, and this lettuce is now washed and ready to go, and it stays so crisp when you do it like this, and it doesn't get brown. And those roasted vegetables are also going to be delicious on a salad, and sweet potatoes are really good on a salad too. When you add things like some sweet potato and some roasted vegetables and some seeds to your salad, it's going to be much more satisfying and much more interesting. Next, I'm going to prep some vegetables. This is some zucchini squash. You could also spiralize this. I have a great spiralizer. I will link below. I love it because it's stainless steel. It's not plastic and it works really good. But this video is my fast, easy, no frills video. Spiralizing is a little fancier, although it's not hard. It's great. Again, I'm going to just put these in a Ziploc bag. And you can easily just buy bagged vegetables. You can completely skip this step and just buy bagged vegetables and have them ready to go. Bagged frozen vegetables and just have them ready to go. All right, my turkey is about browned. And I mentioned that this is kind of a pasta alternative dinner. We do love pasta and we love marinara sauce, which is pretty low fat and low calories. So what I like to do is, this is just a bag of frozen beans. You could use fresh beans, you could use zucchini. I really like zucchini and mushroom. You could use a lot of different things, but this was a request from my husband, and it is certainly easy. I am literally going to put this bag of beans in there. Let's see, maybe not quite all of them. And these are the extra fine green beans. They work really well for this. Let's see. I want more. Nope, I think that's about right. And I'm going to let that cook a little bit. I want those beans to kind of warm up in there with the turkey. Okay, my chicken's done. I'm just going to let that cool. My beans have been cooking for a little while in the turkey. And then I'm just going to take some pre-made jarred sauce and dump it in. Oh my gosh. Okay. I would have got my husband to open that for me, but he's filming right now, so he couldn't do it. Okay. Let's see. And so what I do is we will just eat this just like this with some red pepper and a little bit of Parmesan cheese grated on top. Or you can add pasta. So what I like to do when I originally started doing this was I would mix the pasta in. So you can do this however you want. If you have someone in your family who needs some more calories, you know, you can give them a serving of pasta with this. Or you can add a little bit of pasta for yourself. Or you can have it with no pasta at all. Just wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whatever your needs are at the moment. And that is it for that. I'm doing that kind of rough. In my mind, this is going to be a stir fry, and I'm going to make some orange sauce, which I just love. I just think it makes everything better. But it doesn't have to be a stir fry. This, you could cook this any way you want. You could steam this, you could stir fry it instead of using like an orange sauce. You could, you know, just put some garlic, salt and pepper, tiny bit of oil or a little bit of butter, and that would be delicious too. Now I have a bag of fresh cut vegetables ready to go. All I have to do is take them out and throw them in the pan. I also have some bell pepper that I cut up earlier and that can also be used on salads or scrambled in eggs or something like that. When you have these vegetables prepared, it's a lot easier to use them and you're more likely to use them. Another thing I like to do is have some kind of garnish cut up. And one of my favorites are these scallions. I just love them. I think they're so delicious. If you sprinkle some scallions on your meal and maybe a little squeeze of lemon or lime, it's just, I don't know, it just really makes it so much more fresh and delicious. And I'm just gonna clump those all together and slice them up. Sometimes I like to make my own salad dressing too, but right now I'm really into just some olive oil and apple cider vinegar. So I'm going to do some sauces instead. And this is, I don't know what this is. Sometimes I just make things up. So what this is going to be, I'm going to use some cilantro. And I'm just going to kind of comb the cilantro with the knife first, like that, and that kind of gets a lot of the leaves off. Very easily go through, get some of these larger stems out of here. You don't really have to do this if you're going to put it in a little mini food processor, which I am, but I'll just get the big guys out. And I'm going to put about half of it in. And the other half, guess what I'm going to do? That's right. I'm going to put it in a little bag to use later. And then I'm going to do the same with some parsley. I already washed these, by the way. And again, if your greens have a little bit of moisture on them, you can just put a paper towel in the bag and it just keeps them so well. I don't know what it is. It's like a miracle. I'm going to use the juice of a lemon. It's a good way to peel your garlic. You can just kind of smash it with your knife. You can also buy pre-peeled garlic in a jar. I think I put a little red onion in there too. All right, let's see what we've got. I'm not putting any oil yet. A little bit of rice vinegar. Not too much because it will overpower the lemon, but just to kind of brighten it up. And I am going to add a little bit of oil. I'm not going to add very much because I want this to be kind of a freebie calorie thing, you know, that I can dip chicken in or put on vegetables or even as a sandwich spread, just some delicious flavor with not very many calories. All right, next I'm going to make some orange sauce, and I just love orange sauce for chicken and vegetables. It's a little bit sweet, so it kind of satisfies my sweet tooth at the same time, and I'm not going to use a lot of oil again, so there won't be a lot of calories in this sauce, and I'm not even going to wash my little food processor. This herb blend that's in here will be delicious in the orange sauce too. So I have some oranges here. What I'm first going to do is zest some of the zest. And when you're zesting, you don't want to go too deep. Just, whoa, very superficial with the zesting. Ooh, and I like a lot of zest, so I'm zesting 2 of the oranges. I'm gonna put that in there. You could use orange juice, pre-made orange juice, but then you won't have the zest. And by the way, you can freeze zest. So if you happen to have some oranges or a lemon tree, something that I've done is do zest a bunch of oranges and zest a bunch of lemons. Freeze that, then juice them and freeze the juice. I made another video about calorie counting. And in there I talk about how I've just embraced cooking and weight management. So I enjoy it. I forgot to say something about onions and bell peppers. Like if you want to cut up your onions and bell peppers ahead of time, one of the things you can do to make them last a little longer is to rinse them and dry them. And the reason for that is because when you cut them, you're cutting through the cell walls of the vegetable. Vegetables have cell walls, and the ones that you cut through release their juice, and it's that juice that gets a little slimy and brown on the outside. So you can rinse them, let them dry real well, then put them away, and they will last longer. I didn't do that because I knew I was going to use mine up, so I didn't do it. I am going to put 2 cloves of garlic in here. And I'm going to put in a jalapeno because we do like spice. Be careful when you handle jalapenos. Try not to touch your face or your eyes afterwards because it can burn. And I'm going to grate some ginger. I could peel the ginger and put it in whole, but I find that when you do that, it's kind of fibery. Like the fiber from the ginger stays in it, and I don't really like that. So I'm going to grate this. And you don't have to peel before you grate ginger. You can just grate away. I also really love using the fresh ingredients because I just think it's really healthy. I think when you use it fresh, you get more of the nutrients that are in the foods. All right. Mix that up. That smells amazing. And what I will do is I might add a little cornstarch when I go to use this. And I saute my veggies that I have pre-cut. I have some chicken that's pre-made. I could make a little rice and cook this down a little bit with a little cornstarch, and I could have a delicious, fresh, low-calorie orange chicken dinner. All right, that's it. I am going to do a little cleanup and then I'll show you what we have. Okay, it is now 5:22 and I started filming at 3:42. So in a little over an hour and a half, I have my pasta alternative meal, high protein, plus a vegetable. I have 4 chicken breasts cooked and ready to go. I have roasted cauliflower and squash, which is delicious, by the way. I tried some. I have cauliflower and squash prepped and ready to go for roasting later. I've got vegetables prepped and ready to go for a stir fry or however I want to use them. Sweet potatoes, which I can roast or bake, depending on what I want to do in the moment. I've got my chimichurri style sauce. I've got my cut garnish, in this case scallions, and I did decide to go ahead and cook down my orange sauce. I just deglazed the chicken pan with the sauce and cooked it up a little, added a little cornstarch to thicken it up. And I've got some cilantro ready to go for another recipe or some garnish, and also parsley. And by the way, if you are a vegetarian, you could do all these vegetable things, and then rather than using chicken on your salads, just open up a couple cans of beans for some protein. Maybe add a few seeds and nuts. So that's what I have for you. I hope this was helpful, and thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments, please leave them below. Comments, questions, or ideas for food preparation that you would like to share.